What if the news could unite us across our differences? And what's really going on in the halls of power, regardless of who's elected in office? Welcome to the Want to Know Weekly Newsletter, where we save you time by summarizing important news articles buried by the mainstream, revealing both the darker forces shaping society and the best of human goodness, creativity, and collective power. Here is this week's curated news collection. Journalist Keenan Malik once said that artificial intelligence, AI, doesn't cause harm by itself. We should worry about the people who control it, the ones who use AI for questionable and at times abusive purposes. Microsoft just released its new recall feature, which records and screenshots everything you do while you use your computer. The AI tech then scans each of these screenshots to make a searchable database of every action performed on your computer. In other words, personal information you search up or document on your computer could be monitored, it could be used against you in a court order, or it could be exploited by cyber hackers. And anything you send someone who has recall will be stored in their system, including any video calls you have with that person. Faced with huge pushback from the public, Microsoft recently announced it would make the feature optional and no longer by default for Microsoft users. AI is now being used in vending machines that sell bullets. The process is simple. You walk up to the kiosk, provide your ID, let a camera scan your face, and boom, you've got some bullets. The facial recognition software can allegedly meticulously verify the identity and age of each buyer. Yet we know that facial recognition is far from reliable at this point, from false facial recognition matches to the wrongful arrests of many innocent people. Intelligence officials were secretly paid by big tech to suppress support for legislation that would enable greater free expression, competition, and innovation in the tech industry. Currently, Apple and Google maintain total control over which apps can appear on iPhone or Android devices. These tech giants have removed apps that offer alternative forms of social media. They've even banned people from their sites who've created community tools like Unfollow Everything, which allows users to reset their algorithms and choose what shows up on their feed. The lobbying tactics have so far paid off. Every major tech antitrust and competition bill in Congress has died over the last 4 years. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, the CIA set up a global network of secret torture prisons. Many of the hundreds of so-called terrorism suspects were actually innocent and never charged with a crime. The techniques and abuses committed in these programs were disturbing and horrific, to say the least, and no one to this day has been held accountable. Instead, many of the architects and enablers of the program are now in powerful and esteemed positions in government and academia. The impact of these crimes are still rippling out. More than 10 years later, the Senate torture report is still secret. After 18 and a half years of being held at the Guantanamo Bay prison without any charges, Ahmed Rabbani was released earlier this year. Yet why was he there in the first place? Well, Pakistani authorities misidentified him and handed him over to U.S. intelligence officers for a $5,000 reward. For 18 and a half years, he was subjected to unspeakable torture and abuse, and the hundreds of paintings he created during his time there was his only means of escaping the suffering. Emails obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request reveal that the FDA encourages departing staff to work for the industries they once regulated. Since 2000, every FDA commissioner has joined industry. This brings up ethical questions about whether government agencies should be so connected with the corporations they're supposed to regulate, allowing the junk food industry, big pharma, big chemical, and pesticide industries to make huge profits at the expense of human and environmental health. A recent Supreme Court ruling is making it harder for powerful corporations to use the bankruptcy system to dodge lawsuits over sexual abuse and deadly products. From Purdue Pharma's role in the tragic opioid epidemic ravaging our country, to child sex abuse scandals rocking the Boy Scouts of America, and to toxic cancer-causing chemicals in Johnson & Johnson products. Well, the news isn't all doom and gloom, and it never is. Here are this week's inspiring news articles. We've summarized many news articles on what actually happens when cities provide homeless and low-income communities a guaranteed income. All across the country, people in these programs are thriving, paying off debt, obtaining full-time jobs, securing stable housing, and now more than 800 homeless people were selected to participate in the Denver Basic Income Project, where almost half of the participants were renting or owning a home by the study's 10-month check-in point. As a result, researchers estimated that the city saved almost $600,000 on public services. A 6-week nationwide operation successfully located and rescued 200 missing children. While it's dystopian that this is even considered inspiring news, the numbers on missing, abused, and trafficked children are heartbreaking. And every day there are good people within our government working hard to protect children. Speaking of children, a 12-year-old boy memorized the periodic table at 2 years old and taught lectures at colleges in India since he was 7. Now he just finished high school in 2 years and is now heading to NYU. Check out these news article summaries below for the full stories. And remember, we can't shift the chaos we're in until we name it. When we can recognize what's pushing us in our personal lives and as a society, we already have a degree of freedom from it. Challenging information can paradoxically remind us of the greater good. It is the courage of the people and the love for the common good that bring these injustices to light, fueling uncensored dialogue and constructive action. We invite you to share any comments, thoughts, or questions below. And if you like what we're doing, please subscribe to our channel and share our work widely. We're all in this together.